Welcome back to New England Living. Up next, we're in historic Sudbury for a look at one of the area's oldest properties with the Wayside Inn's Steve Pickford. You're the 11th innkeeper in this inn's history, which when you're talking about an inn that's been around for over 300 years, there's not that many of you.
It's the longest continuing operating inn in the country since 1716. Not the oldest, but the longest continuing. We've been in operation for over 300 years. This road right here behind us in front of the inn was the original Boston Post Road that went from Boston to New York City. So the troops during the Revolutionary War traveled right here, and they'd stop to water their horses here or get something in the tavern. Back in the Henry Ford day, Calvin Coolidge used to visit, Thomas Edison, Harry Firestone. They were all a little circle of friends with Henry Ford, so they visited quite often. So when you visit the inn, we have a lot of dining rooms, a lot of little special small rooms that are really cool. We also have a few museum rooms that depict some of what you might have come across in the old times. There's a room upstairs called the Drivers and Drovers room that shows what the old beds might have looked like. And to mosey through the rooms, it's just nice to get that feel of all the famous people that have been here throughout history.
I understand that room number 9 is the most popular and therefore the hardest one to book.
It is.
Why is that?
Supposedly there's a ghost. The 4th innkeeper, Lyman Howe, had a sister named Jerusha. She was the hostess of the inn, and her bedroom was room 9 and her sewing room was room 10. She ended up dying in her 40s, 42 I believe, of consumption, which was tuberculosis back then. Last 50, 60 years or so, it's kind of come alive, and if there is such a ghost, it's a friendly ghost, but Jerusha is supposedly the ghost of room 9. It's our most popular room, and in the morning, first thing everybody says, did you experience anything? Every morning.
Most people probably associate this with the inn where you can go to the restaurant or stay overnight, but as far as the other properties that we can find here, what do we have?
Well, we have quite a lot. We talk about our 9 historic structures. When people visit this campus, it's important to know that Henry Ford was attempting to build the first outdoor history museum in the United States here on this property. So we have got the old grist mill, which is actively running today to grind cornmeal and wheat flour. And we use the cornmeal and wheat flour in our products to make our corn muffins, our cornbread stuffing, any number of delicious things. It took several years to actually build the grist mill using stone from the area and from Knobscot Mountain, which is right around the corner, using oxen to haul to actually build the walls. Pepperidge Farm was here in the 60s, also using our mill to grind their wheat flour, and Pepperidge Farm did use the Wayside Inn grist mill as the inspiration for their logo. We also have the original schoolhouse that was located in Sterling, Massachusetts, moved to the site because Ford wanted a schoolhouse. It's a 1-room schoolhouse, the Red Stone Schoolhouse, and it is said that Mary of Mary Had a Little Lamb fame did go to that school in Sterling. We've got the Martha Mary Chapel, which was built in the 1940s. People talk about the hurricane of '38 still today. That knoll where the Martha Mary Chapel stands today was covered in pine trees. But after the hurricane, the pines were no more and there was just a grassy knoll. And so Henry Ford recruited the boys from the Wayside Inn Boys School, and they used the wood from those trees to build the Martha Mary Chapel. We have the gatehouse where the carriages were stored. We've got an ice house, and we have cider barn and the old red barn, which today is used for selling plants and things. So some very unique structures that you can't find anywhere else. We have walking trails that are good for all abilities, places to sit and relax, and that's really great to see how the place can be used beyond seeing it as a museum, but also a place to rest and relax.
What are some of those significant ties to history that this inn has been a part of?
Well, in school you may have learned about Tales of a Wayside Inn, written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Longfellow lived in Cambridge, and he was considered the poet rock star of the day. When the next innkeeper came to the inn, he knew about Tales of a Wayside Inn, and he wanted to use it as a marketing tool to kind of revive the inn, which was getting a little tired at that point. And so he renamed the restaurant and inn Longfellow's Wayside Inn, and lo and behold, people started coming back.
This place is a history buff stream. There are so many unique facts and tidbits to come out of here. What are some of your favorite stories?
Right, I mean, people love coming here because it reminds them of the past and ye olde New England, but there were some innovative things that happened here. There was an electric charging station put in by Edward Lemon at the turn of the 20th century. So, you know, stagecoaches kind of were on the way and we had trains coming through, and then the cars started coming and electric cars came along first. So they would charge right out in front of the inn. It's pretty exciting to think about. It's not a new concept.
All the way back in 1904.
Exactly. We also have a phenomenon here called the Secret Drawer Society, and that was started during the 60s by the innkeeper Frank Copias. His granddaughter actually wrote a letter to a future guest, tucked it into a drawer, it was found, and then the letters kept coming. And people will write about their experiences here, they'll write about what they did while they were traveling through, but they will also write letters to Jerusha. They will take the letters, fold them up, tuck them into the rafters, tuck them into drawers, tuck them everywhere. We find them in all of the guest rooms now. So, I mean, those are the things that make it fun and lively here at the Wayside Inn.
Nowadays, as you work to preserve all these traditions and all of this history, what experience are you hoping that guests walk away with after a visit here?
We often hear that people feel that they're stepping back in time. And we love hearing that because that is the goal. And there are so many multi-layered stories here from people living here, people working here. So we're still uncovering things. We have an immense collection of artifacts, documents, business records, books, manuscripts, you name it, we can find in our archives. So we are still working with all of that material to tell just everything we can think of so that people understand what the Wayside Inn is all about.